Hi, I'm Robert with Cruzbike, and today we're going to be taking a look at fender installation on some different Cruzbike models. We'll be looking at some installed fenders on an S40, the different mounts on the back of a Q45, and also a fender installation on a T50. All right, let's take a look. This video is intended to be a guide to help you through a fender installation on your own. I will be going over a couple things I look for in any fender set for the Cruzbikes in order to help ease your installation. We'll be looking at the S40, again the Q45. This one has no fenders installed, but we'll be going over the mounts. And also the T50, here we have an early T50 with the Woody's wood fenders. First up, let's take a look at this fender installation on a T50. We can see we have a standard bracket on the top of the fork, and we have some clamps around the fork blades. In the rear we have a long fender mount to attach to the frame, and then our standard struts on the rear. On all of the Cruzbike models, the fender will attach to the fork crown with a simple L bracket and hardware long enough to make it all the way through with a nylock nut on the other end. The Fender Struts we see here are the adjustable kind. I'll go over that in a moment. This older model T50 uses two SP5 cat-eye clamps to mount to the fork blades. Newer models of the T50 have threaded inserts for the front struts. Here at the rear of the bike we have the rear struts going down to the mounting holes just to the rear of the seat stay. The rear fender is attached to the frame with an L bracket. This might be an item you have to fashion on your own. Many fenders come with a bracket similar to this one. Here again we have the SP5 clamps around the fork blades. Newer models have threaded holes here. If your Cruzbike is an older model without holes for mounting front fender struts, you can always use clamps around the fork blades. Here at the rear is a close-up of the fender strut mount. We have a mounting position here. We also have the ability to mount the struts at the very rearmost part of the dropout where the rack is mounted. It's okay to mount struts there. In any fender installation, you're going to have to take care, particularly on the brake side, to clear the disc brakes. In order to clear the disc brakes or any other obstructions, you might have to get creative with a little bit of fender strut bending. Alright, that covers a pretty basic fender installation on the T50. Let's move on to our next bike. Here we're going to go over the fender mount locations on this new version Q45. Here we have the threaded hole at the base of the crown, perfect for the L bracket that comes with every fender set. And also we have threaded mount holes near the bottom of the fender for the front struts. These holes are the exact same on the Q45 as they are on the S40, allowing your strut to go straight back. They're placed nice and high so they clear the disc brake caliper. The new Q45 comes with a special fender mounting bracket already pre-installed from the factory. Here on this bracket, you could easily drill a hole in the fender if there isn't one, and use a M5 bolt and nylock nut and a spacer if necessary, depending on your tire size, to mount the front portion of the rear fender. Moving to the back of the bike, we have a few different mounting locations for fender struts. We have a threaded boss welded to the stay just in front of the caliper, as well as a standard mount at the very back of the dropout. Depending on the brand of fenders you purchase, the stays might be located vertically, or they might be further back on the back portion of the fender. So depending on the brand of fenders you pick, it will depend on what location is best to use for your fender struts. Right, now that we've taken a look at the mounts, let's have a look at a bike with a set of fenders installed again. a nice new version Cruzbike S40. Again, this S40 and the Q45 share the same front end, so fender installation is the same. The front of the T50 is very similar as well. Take a note of the fender stays attached here. This is a Planet Bike ALX fender set, which is the fender set I recommend. It's very easy to mount, makes for a nice clean installation. The only type of fenders we typically recommend for the cruise bikes are the ones with the adjustable struts that are attached with a nut. The ones where the struts can go through the mount, they're much more adjustable than any other type, and they're much more sturdy as well. On any cruise bike with the threaded mount for the front fenders on the fork, you simply use the included M5 hardware with your fenders or your own M5 hardware. I always like to put a little grease on these threads and bolt them right in. On the crown here we show the standard fender with the attached L bracket mounted to the back of the crown. The rear attachment can be a little trickier. Here we have, this particular fender has a clip that's not really compatible with our brace, so we have used 2 zip ties in a cross pattern in order to secure the bottom of the fender. Nearly every fender set you buy will include some zip ties, and this is typically what the zip ties are used for, even on regular upright bikes. Makes for a nice sturdy attachment of the back of the fender in this case. For the rear struts, again, we have a mount here located near the bottom of the seat stay. Depending on where your struts are located, some of them might be near the top of the fender, at which point you will want to use the closest stay mount. This particular set has the struts located near the very back of the fender, so we have utilized the lower mount and a spacer in order to mount those struts. We have a close-up of our strut mount. We've used some spacers here in order to clear the caliper area. We custom bent our stay there in order to clear the quick release. If we had a different fender set, we might be using the upper mount for the middle stay and then the lower mount for the bottom stay. I hope this video has been helpful in showing you some of the fender mount solutions for the different cruise bike models. Again, each one has some unique challenges. If you go for the adjustable Planet Bike fenders with the adjustable struts, it's much easier to mount fenders. If you have specific questions regarding mounting fenders to your cruise bike, please feel free to email us at support@cruzbike.com. Until next time,